May 28, 1937, the government of Germany, then under control of Adolf Hitler, formed a new state-owned automobile company, Volkswagen, or the People's Car Company. Originally operated by the German Labour Front, a Nazi organisation, Volkswagen was headquarters in Wolfsburg, Germany. In addition to this ambitious campaign to build a network of autobahns and limited access highways across Germany, Hitler's pet project was the development and mass production of an affordable yet still speedy car that would sell for less than 1,000 Reichsmarks, about $140 at the time. To provide the design for this people's car, Hitler called the Austrian automobile engineer Ferdinand Porsche. In 1938, at a rally, the Führer declared for the broad masses that this car has been built. Its purpose is to answer their transportation needs and is intended to give them joy. However, soon after it was displayed for the first time at the Berlin Motor Show in 1939, World War II began and Volkswagen halted production. After the war ended, the factory was in ruins and the Allies would make Volkswagen the focus of their attempts to rebuild the German auto industry. Ferdinand Porsche founded the Porsche Car Company in 1931. In the early 1920s, he oversaw the development of Mercedes and later developed the first designs of the Volkswagen with his son. Ferdinand Porsche was an Austrian-German automotive engineer and founded the Porsche Company. He is best known for creating the first gasoline-electric hybrid vehicle, the Volkswagen Beetle, the Auto Union racing car, the Mercedes-Benz SS and SSK, and several other important developments.
Dopo questi andiamo dentro.
My name is Evan and today I'm joined with Anthony McDermott, a Volkswagen engineer with 22 years experience.
I am.
So what do you think sparked the initial success for Volkswagen?
The initial success was the Beetle, as the know your project is on. The Beetle was an extremely reliable car, so at the start of its career, its sales thing, it would have had to be in the legacy of World War II, so it wasn't trusted by anyone in the world, and Volkswagen had to overcome that image. So the reliability of the car was what brought them over the hurdle there.
So what made it such a reliable car?
Well, as you know, 1945 seen the outbreak of World War II, and Volkswagen had produced military vehicles, as we discussed earlier on, and at the end of World War II, the factories were completely destroyed, and Major Ivanhurst seen the development of the Volkswagen factories. So Volkswagen had new factories building their cars. They had the latest of engineers and technology, and the cars were just really reliable. The technology and the engineers' workmanship was very good compared to the English cars that weren't reliable because they were using old factories, old technology, and England was in recession. So the car would have been bought by young professionals, doctors, nurses, vets, and 2 o'clock in the morning, when they needed the car to go, it started and it went, not like the English cars.
So it was reliable.
It was very reliable, yeah. It had a few things. It wasn't a perfect car because the engine was in the back of the Beetle. It was rear happy, so if you were driving it and you weren't used to it, the engine was the weight in the back. It was inclined to come around, so it wasn't exactly an icon by that. It's a bit of a pig drive sometimes.
Okay. So before the war, Hitler was using propaganda to market the Volkswagen as a people's car. How was this image affected by the war?
The image of the car before the war, as you said, was propaganda. So it was sold as a pipe dream to the German people that if they saved up and worked hard and be good little Germans, they'd work hard for the Führer, they would afford a car, a holiday, and Vox radio. As you know, at the end of 1939, World War II broke out. So the Beetle production was shelved. Nobody really got cars on the savings scheme, and KDF was developed for military vehicles. After the war, Ivan Hirsch redeveloped the factory and they renamed Wolfsburg, which it still is today. And then they planned to produce the cars and they were marketed throughout the world. Ireland was the first importer of Volkswagen vehicles.
They were made here, weren't
They were made here, yeah, on Shelburne Road. 1977 they ceased production in Ireland. But back to the question. The Beetle and Volkswagen had a really rocky ground after the World War II because it was the enemy's car. You have to remember, the world was at war with Germany. So in America, Walt Disney, they were going to make a film about the Beetle called Herbie, and that really softened the image of the Beetle. It became an icon with Herbie being so popular, and surfers, you know, that type of hippie mentality bought into students, and then the car took off in America. I was told that there was more solicitors for Volkswagen on the set of Herbie than actual filmmakers. Volkswagen were paranoid about the image of the Volkswagen. They really needed this to work.
Yeah.
And they weren't going to let the American car industry destroy their reputation because they were actively going for the Germans.
Okay. So where has this brought the Beetle today?
The Beetle today, as you know, the original Mark 1 Beetle went undergone a few changes. So we had in about 00, it was revived, and it was really a Golf chassis, and sales in Ireland weren't really very good. Then it was revised again, and the Jetta chassis, which is produced in South America. The Beetle isn't produced, it isn't being imported into Ireland by Volkswagen anymore, because its sales were declining a lot because the car was so expensive and it wasn't really a practical family car. It really was a niche market, like, you know, it's the Golf, Jetta, Passat, they have taken over from where the Beetle used to be.
So Beetle out of sales, what car has taken over?
That's a difficult question to answer because the Volkswagen range is so diverse now, and you can't pigeonhole a customer anymore. We start off with the car, the Up, which is the smallest one in the brand, and then it goes to the Arteon, which is one of the bigger ones. So in the middle you have Up from Tiguan, T-Cross, Polo, Fox, Jetta. It's just, people are so different now, you can't just put them in one little car and say,
yeah,
you should be happy with that.
Choice.
Yeah, the customer, it's hard to tell now.
Okay, so where do you see Volkswagen going now in the future?
Volkswagen, like every manufacturer, going electric from now on. The new IDs are starting to roll into our workshops at the moment, and that's an exciting time for everyone in the workshop. Everyone wants to go for a spin in the new ID3, and it's a pity I don't have one here for you to drive today, but I'm sure you'd enjoy driving it on a closed country road. Lovely little car to drive. The reliability of the batteries is everyone's question. Everyone wants to know how far will it get really. Like, we've been told it'll do 500 kilometres, but how long will you get out of the battery?
That's okay.
So the ID3s are good, but I have to say my favourite Volkswagen of all, it's not Beetle. It's a Golf.
Yeah.
So my first car was a 96 Volkswagen Golf, the green one, and that was my pride and joy.
Volkswagen.